So here we are in the living room area. I'm going to freeze frame it here, and they're playing the 80s song Freeze Frame again. And I'm going to draw a few interpretations out of the twack. And again, it could be interpreted multiple ways. It could be interpreted as nothing at all but as noise. But again, keep in mind, this is not camera noise. I saw all of this noise, or this twack, with my eyes unaided. So it is definitely a phenomenon that existed in the real world in front of me, not just in the camera. So if my camera's not suffering, my camera's obviously not suffering from daily psychoses, 24/7 daily psychoses. Therefore, I am not suffering 24/7 daily psychoses. I'm going to zoom in on a part of the print here, just to show you how the twack is overlapping, and it's like a photo mosaic or a video mosaic, where it's like you zoom in and you still see smaller parts of twack that make up parts of the bigger twack. Here's another area that I'm zooming in on. Here's another interpretation. I think it's pretty fair to say that this could be an easy interpretation of a face. I think this was meant to take advantage and trick the brain into, because of its facial recognition and pattern recognition. I'm gonna freeze it here. Anytime I saw like these flowers, and whenever I walked out of my bedroom, in the reflection there was another set of flowers similar to this one, but with like white flowers on the ends of them. They would use these in their holograms. They're almost invisible holograms, where I can make out the edges, kind of like Wonder Woman's invisible jet. It didn't look this yellow, although in this case I think the flowers are yellow, but the twack around it wasn't as yellow. It was really like Wonder Woman's invisible jet. And they would make various shapes out of them. They would actually use the leaves to create like a star or a shield on the front of a cop hat, like in New York City. I'm gonna freeze it here to show like how they use the flowers as I think they have some pattern recognition themselves built into it, or object recognition, where they can recognize the where reflections are, or it could just be due to the nature of the overlapping twack, where it's going to overlap that anyway, and so you can interpret it so many ways that it's gonna be useful as part of the edges of the hologram anyway. Here you can see like some of the flowers are being used as sort of reflective parts of the interpretive twack as I've drawn here, like in the reflection of the eyes, and also perhaps as the irises of the eyes. And they're playing freeze frame from the 80s again. So I'm going to draw a few more interpretations here. As I'm watching this while doing the voiceover, they are blasting imageries into my eye of the gay milkshake dude from Aqua Teen Hunger Force, I believe is the show title. Any dark surfaces, such as the TV, especially if it was reflective, was something that always stood out to me, because the twack was always more visible in front of it. So here's an interpretation here. Again, even if you don't interpret it this way, even if you interpret it as noise, it is not camera noise, because I saw it with my eyes unaided. Here's another interpretation of the twack that's reflected back, or just in front of the reflection, or both. Again, I saw this with my eyes unaided, without the use of a camera. I'm going to do another interpretation here. And after the freeze frame, and they're playing freeze frame again from the 80s, and saying the most horrible, disgusting shit. If you look in the reflection, I think you can easily make out what could be perceived as a face. I'm going to freeze it here and do some more interpretations. And again, even if you don't interpret anything out of this noise, keep in mind I saw this noise or twack with my eyes unaided without the use of a camera. I don't enjoy spending years of my life pointing the camera at walls and TVs and carpets and trees and laundry detergent bottles and appliances and ceilings and curtains and the sky just for shiggles. I don't enjoy that at all. I don't enjoy the years of my life being wasted. I'm going to do some more interpretations here, or just one interpretation of what could be, made out of the twack, at least by me. Again, I saw this with my eyes unaided. Another interesting phenomenon that happens with my eyes sometimes as well, but with the camera a lot as well. Here's another interpretation. Is that when I pan with the camera, sometimes some of the twack seems to follow with the camera pan, as if there's a filter on the camera, and there isn't a filter on the camera. I don't know how this happens. I don't know if it's because of the projection, into the eyes, but I noticed it with my eyes, when I tried to avoid the projections into my eyes of the videos and the pictures that they blast into my eyes. I'll try to turn my head to the side, and very quickly, if it's not uninterrupted at all, I will still see the imagery that they've blasted into my eye. I don't know how I don't know how that's possible. I don't know if it's because of multiple drones and they're just blasting it all over the place. I assume that's the case. Maybe if I had a lens that was a macro lens, maybe it would have picked that up. I'm going to do some more interpretations here in the twack. Again, I saw this with my eyes unaided without the use of a camera. That's why I pointed the camera in that direction and started recording. Here's another interpretation out of the twack that I'm going to draw. Again, you can interpret it as different things or as nothing at all, but again, I saw it with my eyes unaided. I think this is a good example here of when the twack overlaps furniture, especially when it's dark. And especially with reflective surfaces, it makes the eyes more realistic looking. It makes it look like it's more realistic, more lifelike. Here's another interpretation of it. Again, you might not see that at all. You might see something different. But again, I saw it with my eyes unaided. Here's another interpretation that I'm going to draw. Again, I saw this with my eyes unaided without the use of a camera. Here's another interpretation that I'm going to make out of the twack. When I first started doing this drawing in the editor, they made a reference to Final Fantasy with that thing that's kind of like a bomb, but it looks fuzzy and it eventually blows up if you don't kill it in time. Here's another interpretation of the twack. Again, you may not see it, but even if you don't, I saw this with my eyes unaided without the use of a camera. And a Galaxy Note 8 camera would not have this much camera noise. Not in the middle of the day, with the even with the curtains drawn. Here's another interpretation that I'm going to make out of the twack. I think this one's pretty clear how it could be interpreted this way. Even if you just think it's noise, keep in mind I saw this noise or this phenomenon or this projected twack with my eyes unaided. This is why I started all these recordings to begin with, to try to get proof so that I could show my father about, all this crazy stuff, since he ignores witnesses and he ignores my own personal truth, and he ignores the fact that I've been consistent with every single thing that I've told him. and written down and provided videos of, even for reference, and still have to correct him on it, even when his recollection of my recollection changes, which is understandable, but not when you have something that you can reference, and not when it doesn't make sense. When you recollect something that doesn't make sense. Here's another interpretation that I have. Again, I saw this noise with my eyes unaided, without the use of a camera. Here's another interpretation.